Boy, this cartoon came at just the right time for us because I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of stuff going on behind the scenes here on the Professor Thorgy channel. There has been a leak in our ceiling for the past couple days now, and it's getting worse. Like, it's starting to warp, like, furniture at this point. Not furniture, but, like, the medicine cabinet is now getting
the leak is in our bathroom.
Yeah, and it keeps getting worse and worse, and I'm doing everything I can to stop it. But we live in an apartment, and I can't exactly go into my upstairs neighbor's apartment and go, hey, I'm just going to start drilling holes in your wall to find the pipe that's leaking. So I got to wait for the super to get around to doing it, and it's kind of freaking taking him forever. So this is Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, of all the weeks to have a leak.
On Thanksgiving week, there's always a ton of movies that come out. And this year we've got Wreck-It Ralph 2, we've got Creed 2, we've got that new stupid-looking Robin Hood movie. There's a fourth one coming out. There's that Widows movie from last week that I really wanted to see. And yeah, we might not be able to see any of these until this is resolved. Because literally if we leave this leak alone for more than like an hour, it just explodes. We've had to start sleeping in shifts where I will stay up until 7:30 in the morning when you wake up to take Peach for a walk, then I finally go to bed, and then you watch the league and clean up after it. So yeah, even though there is a ton of stuff coming out this week, we might not be able to review it until this thing is resolved.
Yeah.
So thankfully, Netflix decided, you know what, we're going to give you guys something that you can review that you don't even have to leave the house to see. So yeah, we were able to watch all of She-Ra, and I gotta say, I never saw the original She-Ra.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the original She-Ra, but I was just not really a big fan of it. Like, I thought He-Man and all that was just kind of just cheesy and silly.
I believe your exact words were, it was dumb.
Yeah, it's dumb.
That's the thing, so many people are freaking defending, like, oh, well, you know, it's not like the original one. The original She-Ra was like, dude, I grew up in the 80s. Even if I didn't watch the original She-Ra, I watched all the other cartoons out there at the time, and yeah, they were all stupid. They were all just toy commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
They were all toy commercials where every character looked exactly the same because they had to use the same mold for every goddamn character. So it's just change colors, new wig, change colors, new wig. Bam, 2 separate characters in there. That was every goddamn cartoon back then. And yeah, I give She-Ra some credit because it was like, okay, they wanted to make something for young girls out there. Mm-hmm. Hey, all right. In fact, the creator of He-Man actually says, like, he was shocked when he found out, oh, there's a large group of young girls out there who actually enjoy all this sword and sorcery stuff. So what if I made a character just for them and made a cartoon that was just for them? Which makes it so interesting that most of the people who are having problems with this new update are older men who I know would have been beating up kids in the playground for watching She-Ra.
It's like, She-Ra's a dumb girls cartoon, He-Man is better. And then fast forward, 30 years, I can't believe they ruined my childhood.
Your childhood has never been ruined. No cartoon has ever sent someone back in time like the Terminator to keep your cartoon and your memories that you had from existing. Grow the fuck up already. Jesus Christ. Also, little tip for everybody out there who wants to become a critic someday, who wants to start doing this on YouTube, the best piece of advice that I can give you is there is a big difference between this is bad and this is not for me. Mm-hmm. There is a country mile between those two things. And it blows my mind how many people out there is like, oh my God, what is this for little girls? Yes! You fucking imbecile. I got off on a tangent there.
Yes,
that is the only thing we were going to comment on the controversy of this whole thing.
Yes, we just need to get it out of our system.
Just get out of our fucking system.
And just talk about the actual show itself.
Yeah, because I've seen so much positivity for this, especially from parents who have young girls who are they say, yeah, I took my kid to the playground and I heard her just yelling out for the honor of Grayskull and running around with a big stick of swords. That's exactly what this show was supposed to fucking do. And it did it. So awesome. However, I am not an 8-year-old girl, so I can't judge this as an 8-year-old girl. So all I can say is, hey man, I see that this is perfect for that audience. But I'm still going to give you my opinions on how I feel about it, kind of as myself, as just a grown adult who watches a lot of cartoons. But I did also want to get it out there, like, this is not for me, and I have seen a large positive response from the demographic that was aimed at, and even if I hadn't, like, seen the first-hand accounts of how this is positive, how people have been enjoying this, I'm able to watch this thing and go, yeah, this looks like a totally positive cartoon for young girls. Like, this looks like it is hitting, like, every single note that it should to provide positive messages for young kids out there. So yeah, just speaking as me personally, I like this. I think it's very good. Again, it is not for me. I definitely have, like, a few small problems in here. But overall, yeah, this was a very fun, like, throwback action cartoon that looked like a more fantasy-filled version of a lot of those 80s cartoons. Especially, what if those 80s cartoons were not designed to sell toys, but they were designed to actually tell, like, a fantasy world story with continuous plot lines. And towards the end of this, that's exactly what it does.
Yeah, it's like for the first few episodes, I was like, okay, this is cute. It's not anything great, but it's cute. But then, like, around, like, episode 9, it's like, oh, now the plot thickens. Now things are getting interesting. Oh, I like these characters now. That's a lot of good character development.
There's a lot of growth in this show. Yeah, it absolutely is a show that nails, like, watching characters develop. Like, where Catra goes in this. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
She's great in this. Our dog is about to knock over something in the background.
Peach, come here.
Yay, she did it. Anywho. So, we should probably start with Alora herself. By the way, you know that I actually did have positive feelings towards this show, because I can actually remember characters' names. Doesn't hurt that most of them have names that are just simply like, here's the thing that they are.
Like, they even address that in the show, and I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, Natasa, it's literally in the name, I toss nets. Like,
man, that must have been one of those characters in the old 80s cartoon where they were like, fuck it, man, I gotta get this character out by noon. It's 11:30 right now.
That's pretty much what all the characters in He-Man were like. Even He-Man, oh, it's a guy. Like,
oh, dude, Mecha Neck. Mecha Neck, the dude whose power was my neck. All the characters in He-Man had powers designed specifically so that you could go, how can we turn that into a toy? Mini faces. I have mini faces. And you can even, like, see, like, if you squeeze them, the head will turn. It's like, or
Skeletor, he's a skeleton.
Oh, G.I. Joe was the worst about that, though. G.I. Joe, everyone, which, at least there was an excuse in G.I. Joe, because you have to have a code name in this script. Like, that makes sense. So, of course, the code name would have to do with what you are. But you can still, like, peel back that curtain and see exactly what was going on in there. But anywho, welcome to the Nostalgia Hour, everyone. But yeah, I actually really like the character of Alora because, again, I know nothing about the original. I wasn't even the biggest He-Man fan. I was a Thundercats and Transformers kid. He-Man was a little bit, like, too far to, like, even when I was a kid, I looked at He-Man, I was like, these are just toys. Like, at least with the Thundercats, I was like, they have personalities. They're all based around cats. But, like, I always looked at He-Man, even when I was a kid, I was like, these are just gimmicks. And I was, like, 4 when I was watching He-Man. So, also, I think at that point, I was way more into the Super Mario Brothers Power Hour. But anywho.
Yeah, I was definitely more of a Ninja Turtles person. So.
Oh, I was big into Ninja Turtles.
It's like, He-Man, what's that?
Ninja Turtles, that was my jam.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles also, I think, has probably had the best track record of successfully bringing them back in new interpretations. But that's because no one's really tried with any of the other ones. So I'm glad that DreamWorks and Netflix are actually finally doing that. But yeah, from what I understand, this is a very different interpretation of She-Ra, because I think She-Ra originally was like He-Man's cousin or something? Sister, okay. But in this one, you know, there's no He-Man, so you have to create all on its own. And I dig this whole thing that, like, she's part of the evil army, but she thinks they're the good guys. And it's not until she actually is able to go out there and see the people that they've been attacking that she realizes how brainwashed she is. And I dig that there was a moment in there in which she's trying to convince Catra of this, and Catra's like, yeah, no crap, they've been lying to us this entire time. No, duh. Because I thought that it really spoke to, like, their two different personalities in there. It's that Allura kind of grew up like, yep, this is what I'm being told, so I'm going to accept that because they're the responsible ones. Of course, the people in power are the ones who are correct everyone. Like, she grew up never questioning anything.
Yeah.
But Catra was the rebellious one.
Yeah.
So she grew up questioning everything. And I find it so interesting that because she grew up questioning everything, she became more jaded. And she was just like, well, fuck it, if that's how the game is played, I'm going to play the game.
Like, I feel like she wants to, like, climb up in the ranks so she can, like, you know, change things. Like, okay, like, this is how I run things. Stop lying to me, you know, shit like that.
That implies to me kind of like she wants to do this, like, whole change from within thing where she wants to, like, make it better. I don't think she wants to make it better. I think that she has been screwed over so much in life that she's just like, I'm getting mine.
Yeah.
I think that's how she has been raised. And yeah, I really dig that. And there's that episode where you see, by the way, normally we save spoiler stuff for the end, but I think that we've reached that point where this is on Netflix. If you were going to watch this, you've watched it.
Yeah, it's like, we're not really going to do spoiler talks for, like, or for series.
For series, we're just going to talk about the series.
Yeah. Like, movies are different, though.
Exactly. So there comes that moment in which they get into the Old One's temple, and it's showing them their memories from the past and forcing them to relive their memories. Man, that whole episode was nothing but like, here is a dump truck full of depth to these characters. Hey, you know that like kind of cartoony relationship that they've had back and forth this entire time? Yeah, here's the really deep, dark stuff behind all that. And yeah, I am a big fan of Noelle Stevenson. Her book, Nimona, is fantastic. And Nimona starts off as just super lighthearted, yay, I can transform into animals, and hey, he's a goofy wizard, and oh, we're gonna storm the castle, oh, isn't it fun to be the bad guys kind of thing? And then, man, 3/4 of the way into that thing, they just bring on the emotions. So while I was watching this thing, I was like, all right, it's, you know, it's goofy fun, it's cute, it's fine. But I was waiting that whole time. I was like, no. I know how Noelle Stevenson operates. I know what's coming. All right, let's just wait. The big reveal will be here any moment now. And then, yeah, it eventually came. And oh boy, that was a big moment for the series. But I also really dig the personal touch. Speaking of Noelle Stevenson, it became very clear to me soon in this show, there's a moment in which Shadow Weaver is trying to get Allura back, and Catra just says, it's just a phase, she'll come back. Noelle Stevenson, I am familiar with her past, and she grew up in a household that was very, like, firmly, like, gay people are evil, like, just hammering that into her head, and Noelle Stevenson is gay, and she like repressed all that her entire life. She was like, nope, my parents are correct. All this is absolutely correct. Whatever they're saying, like didn't question it at all. And then there finally came the moment when she actually started meeting gay people and actually started talking to gay people. And she kind of realized, oh, they're actually really nice. And they're people just like me. Oh, wait. And she kind of began to realize, oh, shoot, the stuff my parents have been telling me all this time, that's actually what's wrong. Like, they've been preaching hate and intolerance and bigotry to me. Those are actually bad things, and I should not approve of that. And yeah, this whole thing with Allura in here is that she grew up in the evil kingdom, thinking they were the good people, never questioned anything they said. The moment she gets out there into the Whispering Woods, everything is bright and shining and sparkling and colorful, and everyone is so nice and super positive and all this. And it became very clear to me, it's like, oh, I get what this whole show is about. And yeah, that personal touch makes this entire show feel deeper.
Also, like, Allura wasn't even, like, originally part of the Horde. She was, like, an orphan, and Shadow Weaver, like, brought her in.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering is, like, and, like, she was the chosen one. She was the one who was supposed to, like, lead the Horde and everything.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if they did that deliberately because they knew that she was going to be the next reincarnation of She-Ra, or
oh, you mean if the Horde decided to do that?
Yeah, to brainwash her, so they could have...
I would think probably Hordak might have.
Hordak, yeah, probably.
One small complaint, I wish we'd gotten more of Hordak.
Yeah, there's a lot of Shadow Weaver, but Hordak is supposed to be, like, the big evil villain, the big leader.
Which I get why they're doing that. They're setting him up to be like, no, like, he's the guy that they all whisper about. It's like, oh, shoot, you don't want to mess with that guy. No. So that way, when he does make his big move in the next season or so, it'll be a much larger thing. But it makes me think about Voltron, the first season of Voltron, and how, what's the villain, the big guy in Voltron?
Hagar?
Yeah, that's it. When Mike Hagar is in there, they used him way more in that. And yet they still had it be like, yeah, but he's kind of the big guy. You don't want to mess with that guy in there. Although I feel like now that we're getting into like the later season of Voltron, it's like, oh, Hagar was nothing. The witch was the one you were supposed to be watching the whole time. So maybe they did actually secretly do that with us. But yeah, I wish we'd gotten some more of Hordak, more than just him like, yes. Like, I think he's got maybe like, I don't know, 3 minutes of screen time in the entire thing. Just coming on, I was like, explain. And he's intimidating, and they give him a good voice, and I like his design in here, but yeah, I wish we got a little bit more of him.
I'm sure there'll be more of him in season 2.
There kind of has to be. Yeah, Shadow Weaver ain't there anymore, which, again, talking about the personal touch that this show has, there is the moment in which there's a whole episode just dealing with Alora's relationship with Shadow Weaver, and she says, well, what did Shadow Weaver do for you? It's like, taught me to clean, taught me to read, taught me how to tie my boots, and, mom stuff. And I was like, yeah, for anybody out there who still hasn't gotten this is Noelle Stevenson kind of talking about her own life in here, and about how, like, yeah, my parents were kind of the bad ones. They were the intolerant ones. Yeah, you get the personal touch in here, because it's not like if you grow up with your family who you love and you care for, and then all of a sudden you learn they're bad people, you can just go, well, light switch, I'm done with that. It's tough having to leave your family that you love behind, and I dig that we had an entire episode in there of her basically, like, addressing, like, yeah, these people raised me. Even if I am with you guys and you're my friends right now, they're the ones that cared for me when I was a child. They raised me my entire life. I can't, like, just get over that. And that's why I say it's kind of important to put, like, a personal touch in your art, because it allows you to create so much more depth. Because in that one episode, like, man, you can feel it coming off of Alora that this is something that's kind of hard for her to deal with. And this is actually a big thing for her, actually having to turn her back on the people that raised her. But, they are kind of evil. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. She decided to take this approach with this character. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the character designs, though, because we mentioned Hordak and his cool character design here. You are the person who's actually studied animation character design, so what did you think about it?
I enjoyed them. Like, they're definitely...
Sorry, our dog barked in the background. It wasn't like she said, I enjoyed them, and I went, what? No.
Yeah, I heard her, too. I don't know what she's barking.
It was just poorly timed.
But yeah, like I saw like a back-to-back comparison of like the original artwork and the new one, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of differences.
It's like, oh my god, they all look like different characters in this one. They all look distinct and unique, and if you put their silhouettes out there, I would actually go, it's that one, it's that one, it's that one. In the original, you could identify She-Ra from a silhouette, but it's because she would have the wings on her head.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, maybe I can identify like their weapons or something. Like everyone else, like I said, in the 80s, when you want to create a character, just get the plastic in the mold, press it down. That's your character. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I dig the character design in here. However, they feel... like, I know that when it comes to character designs, there's the old expression, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Mm-hmm. I feel like they might be a tad too simple.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too, like, especially, like, against the backgrounds.
Yeah. Actually, hold on, what do you mean by that?
Like, I just felt like the backgrounds are like very nice and like.
Oh, you mean in comparison to them? Okay, yeah. I thought you meant like they blended into the background.
No, I mean it's like like.
Yeah, the backgrounds are more complicated than they are.
But like but it's like I understand like it's easier to animate something with a simpler design, but it's like.
Yeah, exactly, but it's weird because. Over the past, decade, I'd say that we've gotten to a point in which complexity in character designs is starting to make a comeback. Like, everybody has to have extra lines on their costumes. Like, no matter how simple their costume is, you gotta put, just a big line going down here, from the shoulders down to the waist. Like, that's something that so many characters have. And I think it's to kind of make it look like it's actually sewn together or something. But I've noticed that in so many superhero costumes these days, so many video game character designs, they've all got just, a random line going down here, random lines going up and down the arms. And I think it might be to kind of make it look more like it's actually sewn together, but I think it might also be to try and make it look just more detailed. Make it look like there's just more stuff there to draw your eye to. And I've actually been complaining about that a lot. Especially like after Iron Man came out. We saw a lot more like metallic looking designs from characters. Everybody had glowing lights on their costumes after Iron Man came out. And that continued for a while. It's starting to die down now, but now everybody still got those just random lines on their costumes. And I kept complaining about that for a while. I kept saying for the longest time, no man, you need to go back to more simplistic designs because they're more memorable. And I was looking at the characters in here, and I was like, it feels like everybody just needs like one more thing on their costume, like just one more like little like color or something, or like a badge or something on them, like a bracelet, just like a hairpin, like something in there, just to make them like slightly more memorable. And then I started like actually really looking. It's like, well, what could you do with them? And I was like, well, no, Alora's jacket's got like the little like shoulder pads in there, but then also like little cut-ins at points, and then you look at like Catra, like, well, Catra's really simple. Well, no, she's got like the tears on the knees, and she's got like little like
the stripes on her arms. Yeah, like, she's got like 2 different colored eyes.
That I actually thought was a little bit
too much.
Yeah. But like I kept looking at it, and I was like, no, she's actually pretty good too. Or Glimmer's got like the nice shoulder pad thing going there with like that just goes into her big cape. It's like, okay, that's pretty good. Why do I think that these look too simple? And that's when I realized it's because everything else for the past like decade and a half has been so overly complex in their character designs that seeing like actual simple character designs, my brain is not adjusted to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, as I'm thinking about like Voltron, like they had like pretty complicated designs.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it feels still simplistic enough that you could go like white chest plate, colored thing here, helmet looks like this. But they're still fairly complex. And it's like, so it's not so much that I think they're too simple. I think they just feel a tad dated. But then again, this is an 80s interpretation.
Yeah, it's like, so I think maybe they were trying to like have that 80s vibe to it, like 80s style to it a little bit.
I think that might be part of it as well. But yeah, so they're definitely better than the original. And I do overall like them when I actually sit down and analyze them. But they do just kind of look a little bit simple to me for my own personal taste. But I also think part of that might be because all the colors in here are, I don't want to say flat, because flat implies like no vibrancy, no life, no brightness. Like there's tons of that. There's no shading to anything, is what I mean by it. Because no matter what room they are in, unless they want it to be like someone specifically emerging from shadows, everybody will have that like slight shadow underneath their eyes to give their face dimensions, and that is the only shading anyone ever has on them. And I kept thinking, you know what, that actually might be the reason why I think these designs look a little too simple. It's because like they're not like giving them any like pop with like the shading in there.
Right.
And I'm a fan.
Like contrast, basically.
Yeah, like that. So, and you know me, I bring this up whenever like you have to draw like title cards.
Yes.
Right? I like shading in my stuff. So yeah, that was a little of a thing for me. Just a little bit of a thing. I wish that there had been more shading in here. But the show also at times, while I am like coming in here with my bag of nitpicks, the show also sometimes feels a little bit cheap to me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying like, oh, they skimped out on anything. It feels like Netflix said, here's your budget for 8 episodes. And they're like, well, we want to do 13. Hey, you can do 13. We're not giving you more money, though. Because most Netflix animated shows now, they are like 8 episodes long. But I'm glad they did 13 episodes on this thing, because I keep saying 8 episodes is too freaking short for half-hour animated shows. Mm-hmm. For those Marvel Netflix shows, you can cut that shit down a little bit. But yeah, this show, there are moments where the animation looks a little bit cheap to me.
You think they just had like a smaller budget?
Like I said, I think that they might have had the budget for 8 episodes and they did 13. It feels like if they had had that same budget for fewer episodes, they would have been able to get more done. But I mean, there are moments in here where like, I know the first time that she turns into She-Ra and is attacking people, there's a moment when she flies across the screen, and it's very clear it is a still image that they just like did like the Photoshop, like whoop, like no, the Adobe Premiere, I should say. I think I'm just whoop over here. Like it's an effect that I could do. And there are other small moments in here where like someone will be walking and they'll just be walking for a long period of time. It looks like they just kind of had to stretch it because they didn't really have the budget to like make them move quicker or put more stuff going on into the scene. But it's small. It's the majority of the show does look good, but I do have to bring up, every now and then, it does look like their budget was a little bit smaller. But whenever they're just, like, sitting around talking, stuff that doesn't really require a lot of, like, you know, detailed animation, I think it's great because then it's all just relying solely on the storytelling, and I think the storytelling is the best part of this.
Yeah, it's like, I know you mentioned, like, sometimes the animation seems cheap, but I keep thinking about back to the 80s cartoons. Like,
well, it's not the 80s. When it comes to, like, character designs and stuff, like, yeah, we can compare it to that, but when it comes to animation, it's like, no, now we're talking about new technology and all that, like, yeah, you can't compare it to the cartoon on that one. So, all right, speaking of the character designs, let's actually talk about the characters themselves, because there's a lot of them to cover in this.
Yes.
Which is another small nitpick I had. I wish that they had kind of, like, waited to reveal some of these characters, like, wait, let's save some in case we get a season 2, because this thing, it does look like it's popular. Like, I've seen a positive reaction to this thing, so I would not be shocked if they did get a season 2. Not to mention, Netflix approves almost everything for a season 2. I constantly see stuff on Netflix, it's like, now on season 8. And I was like, I never even heard of this thing. Jesus Christ. Our Netflix original brand new movie trilogy. I was like, wait, what? I didn't even hear about the first one coming out. What's happening here? So yeah, I'd be shocked if this thing didn't get a season 2. But yeah, so I wish that they had held up on some of these characters for like season 2. Especially like the last 2 princesses who they revealed.
Yeah.
Man, they pop up in the last episode halfway through because they're like, well, we need help. And these brand new princesses who you've never even seen just pop up. And I was like, okay. I know you're supposed to be like the cavalry that's showing up, but I've never even heard you mentioned until this point. Like, it'd be one thing if we got like you in like the first couple episodes or something, like a big round table or something, like where they have the princess prom episode in the background.
Maybe.
Yeah. So that is like the one problem I had with like any of these storytelling elements of this. The introduction of the final 2 princesses was like, dude, you didn't need to do it. Like, just save them for the next season at this point. But yeah, I feel like for the first like half of this series, it is kind of just the standard thing that you do with cartoons where it's like, we go to this place and we meet this person. We go to this place and we meet this person. It's like, that's pretty standard for cartoons. Like, all right, I'm not going to criticize that one because that's just kind of like what you do in cartoons. And again, towards the end of this, they do get really deep, and I feel like the standard cartoon setup is a good, like, you know, lead in to the big sucker punch that comes from all the emotions towards the second half of this thing. But as for the characters who we get introduced to, there's Glimmer, who she's like Alora's new friend, the main one, who she's the one that introduces her to like the world of princesses.
Yeah, she wants to like reunite the alliance of princesses or something.
It's weird that she's kind of like the upcoming general. It almost feels like. It feels like she's going to be the one who's going to like actually like lead the army. And it's like, okay, that's kind of a cool thing. And I dig that it's kind of going against like what you would expect. You'd expect like the princess of power to be the one leading the army. But yeah, when she's the one she's the princess of sparkles and teleportation, and she's the one who's like actually trying to like get the army going, get them all like arranged so that they can fight off the horde. I really dug that. Also, I like the relationship that she has with her mother because it feels so real.
Yes.
It feels absolutely real. And I know that some people might look at the first couple episodes in that in which it's so much like, Mom, you don't understand it. It's like, oh God, it's this stuff. But it's like, that's kind of what a lot of...
Yeah, and then later on in the series, there's more depth to their relationship.
Exactly,
and,
man.
And it starts to explain why they are the way they are. Like
Exactly. It's like, if you look at those first couple episodes and go, oh, well, this is so just what we see in everything. Yeah, but in everything else, it would just be that forever. This starts off like that so that it can lead into actual growth between characters. The thing that I keep wanting people to do in shows. I was like, oh, shoot, where the relationship between her and her mom go? That was great.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. But also, yeah, man, sometimes you've seen this stuff before because that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
I grew up with a little sister. I know what, like, interactions between preteen girls and their mothers look like. That's kind of what it looks like. So it's like, okay, yeah, you nailed it. You absolutely captured that feeling. But then rather than just having that be that forever, you actually had it lead into character growth and development. And I am so happy about that. I really dig Bo.
Yeah.
The next character up. Bo is just the overwhelming source of positivity.
Yeah.
I dig that he is just the big cheerleader of the group, but he's not just that. He gets his like moment to shine in there as well.
He's like Hawkeye, basically.
Yes. Anybody with a bow and arrow is like Hawkeye because they're going to be that guy who at some point in time everyone points at and laughs because they have no powers except for bows and arrows, and then they have to show up and actually be a badass.
Which he does in one episode.
He does get that in an episode.
Like, also, like, because, you know, Hawkeye, actually in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least, he kind of was, like, the one who was trying to, like, more grounded than the others, so...
Well, that's always been Hawkeye's thing, too.
Yeah, but...
Hawkeye has always been the guy who calls the big super gods on their bullshit.
Yeah, so...
That's always been the reason I liked him.
Yeah, so, like, he's trying to, like, be, like, the one who, like, okay, let's just try to get along, like, we have something to do, we need to do...
He's the guy who does kind of, like, talk about, he's the guy who's like, hey, what if we all just talk? Yeah, and I enjoy that, and again, like, you see depth from him because his whole interactions with Glimmer in the last couple episodes, like, they've been friends forever. I dig that. I also dig that, like, she was upset that he was going to the princess prom with someone else, and I was like, oh, are you going to turn this into a relationship? And then, no, it doesn't turn into a relationship. It was just, like, she was upset because, like, she's his friend, and they always kind of do everything together. But, hey, man, you kind of have to, like, grow up. And you kind of have to, like, get to that point in your life where you're okay with your friends doing things without you. Again, as I said, one of the reasons why I applaud this cartoon so much is that I can look at and see, like, the valuable lessons that it is actually teaching young kids out there. And a lot of them aren't things that modern day kids cartoons do teach, but cartoons that when I was growing up with, the cartoons I grew up with, they didn't teach you. Cartoons when I grew up, they taught you, like, look both ways before you cross the street.
There's always that PSA at the end of the cartoon.
Well, they were legally required to do that. Because remember, these were just made to sell toys. So Congress literally came in here and said, you can't just have a half-hour commercial. If you're going to do that, you have to at least prove to us that you're teaching some kind of moral lesson in there. So that's literally why G.I. Joe and He-Man and all these other cartoons would stop at the end and be like, well, you know, we had a lot of fun here today. Yeah, but this one is actually, like, teaching you not lessons about, like, hey, recycle, it's important. They're teaching you lessons about what it's like to grow up and hey, sometimes stuff happens. Sometimes your parents are going to be jerks and sometimes your family is going to be, I mean, your close friends who you thought you would be with forever, they want to do things with other people and sometimes you're going to move into a different stage of your life. And it's like, that's so much better to teach children because that's the stuff that you don't really figure out, like all the other stuff that like He-Man and G.I. Joe would teach us. Our parents taught us that as well. They never really taught us, like, yeah, shit's gonna go down sometime in your life, and I have no way to train you for that.
Yeah, and, like, there was even, like, one episode where Adora, like, tried to, like, cut herself off from, like, her friends because she's like, every time I just cause trouble for everybody, She-Ra, no one needs She-Ra, and then and then Swiftwing comes along and is like, well, that's stupid, you can't help anybody by hiding yourself from everyone. And
yeah, very important, like, again, things that any kid at some point in time will probably think. At some point in time, any kid out there will probably think, I'm no good and no one wants me and I can't do anything right. And it's like, this had an entire episode just dedicated to that. And yeah, that's the kind of stuff that you can't come in with a PSA at the end of it and just go, hey kids, you know, if you ever feel lonely, don't. Anyway, see ya. You have to actually watch characters who you have bonded with as a child go through the things that you are going to go through and see them overcome this in not a quick little like 2-minute like PSA at the end, but in a whole journey. It's like, yeah, man, it's kind of doing the job there. It's doing a great job with that. So let's keep going with the other princesses. I will say, I didn't really like the Flower Girl.
Yeah, she was not as well developed as the other ones.
She was totally just the standard go-to flower child. Like, if your power is to control flowers...
You're gonna be a hippie.
And,
like,
yeah, you're either a hippie or poison ivy. Like, there's no in-between on those two. You're either a hippie or you want to destroy the plant so that plants can reclaim it. That is it. Those are the two sides to, like, controlling plants as your power. So it's like, yeah, I've seen this. So... I have a problem with that.
I really dig Entrapta, though.
She's the one with the hair, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I really, especially when she ends up teaming up with Catra and Scorpia. I really like the way they bounce off each other. Like,
I actually really dug that too.
Yeah.
I wanted to hate Entrapta so much because she kept feeling so annoying to me. but her writing was just clever enough that made me go, oh, God, all right, God damn it, that was good. All right. Like, I wanted to hate her because she felt so annoying to me.
You felt like she was like the annoying, nerdy girl or something.
She was like, I felt like they were going way too hard with that. But the writing and the delivery on the lines were actually good enough that I was like, all right, fine, you win. You win. She's actually fun and charming. Fine.
And then there was the Princess of Snow. Like, what was her name again? Or?
She's in like a third of an episode, but even though she's in the opening credits. But yeah, I dug her. She actually was a great contrast of a character because she's the youngest of them all. She's like 10 years old or something.
Yeah, 11.
11 and 3/4 or something. But she's got more power than any of the other ones. Because, like, didn't they say, like, her queen had left her in charge or something?
Yeah, something like that. And she was like, I worked too hard to get this much respect. Don't screw this up for me.
She's the youngest of them, and she's the most adult.
Yeah, it's like, I can understand why you're like this. I mean,
I love it. Like I said, she was only in, like, a third of an episode. But unlike Net Girl and Wind Girl at the end, who just pop up, and, like, I think Wind Girl has one line of dialogue, and the entire thing is like, oh, for real? With her, I was able to go, like, I got everything about you in one interaction, and that's actually really good writing. So yeah, I really dug her as well. But sticking with Entrapta, because I wanted to talk about this as well, I freaking love that she went over to the dark side. Because again, it's not, like, if you make a cartoon where everybody is just looking at, like, Catra and the Scorpion Girl, and being like, well, the Scorpion Girl is insanely nice, and Catra, you can tell she cares about Shiro, so she'll eventually come over to the good side, too, and everybody's just gonna team up against, what's his face?
Hordak?
Not Skeletor.
Nice.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, well, that's not that interesting. I mean, it's fun, but the moment that you have one of the good people go over to the bad side, and not even like they go over to the bad side like they're being like forced to work there.
No, it's like
she actively wants to be on the bad side.
Like, Catra did a great job persuading her. It's like, oh, she left you just like she left me.
She did,
like,
yeah, exactly. And I get this feeling like there will come that moment in which they find her, which, again, that's the kind of thing that you're looking forward to in season 2. What's going to be the moment in which they actually find Entrapta, and they're just like, we thought you were dead. And she's like, well, you left me, but we thought you were dead. What's going to happen there? Because with Entrapta being like so like weird, you can see her being like, oh, well, okay, bye bad guys, I'm going back over to the good guys. But you can also totally see her being like, yeah, well, here's the thing. I like machines way more than people. We established that long ago. They're letting me mess with machines, so screw it. Bye. I'm on the bad guys' team now.
Yeah, she's definitely chaotic neutral, and it's just like
very much so. She is in this for her. As
long as she gets to tinker with machines, she's happy. Like that's
yeah. So when she was a good guy, I was like, your writing is just good enough that I'm okay with you. But when she had that character turn, damn. Yeah, I really enjoyed her. And also, when you see her with the Scorpion Girl and Catra, yeah, man, they are a great trio of oddball villains. I think they work great together. My favorite of the princesses, though, has got to be
Mermesta?
Yeah, I kept wanting to say Mimosa. And no, that's not.
Mimosa? What? No, that's a drink.
The princess whose power she gets drunk, Mimosa. Yeah, Mermesta, I loved her. She had the perfect, like, oh my god, whatever personality. She wasn't like Valley Girl, like, oh my god, whatever, there's someone.
She's just, I'm tired of all this bullshit. Yeah.
She had the perfect done attitude. I don't give a crap.
It's like,
what? Just get on with it already.
It's like, yeah, sure, I'll join your alliance, but only because I want that giant woman with a sword on my side. Like,
yeah, it's like, I don't give a crap. I will also say, really like the pirate guy.
Oh yeah, Seahawk.
Seahawk, I knew it was something C. But yeah, I really dig him. It felt like they could have gone bigger with him, though, which I know he has a big personality, so it's weird to say that. But I kept looking at him, and I couldn't not think of Aquaman from Brave and the Bold. Do you remember John DiMaggio's Aquaman? Yeah, the adventure, like that guy. I kept wanting him to, like, to me, that Aquaman is 11, And this Seahawk is like an 8, which I get because they had to like make him feel a little bit more realistic. I'm like, you know what, maybe not go to Aquaman levels, but 9, 10, you could get up there a little bit more. So yeah, I kind of wish they had gone a little bit higher with
maybe
him.
they'll go more in the next season.
I think next season's going to be darker, so I don't know about that. But I still liked him. I still did really like him. I definitely like this, interactions that he had with Mermessa. The whole, he very clearly has a thing for her.
And she does not care about it.
Although, at the very end, it looks like they're together now.
It's well, maybe she started,
save it for the next freaking scene. This show at the end, it felt like they were we have to make sure that we are at a point, in case we don't get a season 2, that we can actually go out on this. We have the to be continues in there. We have the big turn for Catra in there. But no, we have everybody together, including the 2 people who we didn't have time to introduce, and everything's kind of resolved between them. It did feel like they played it a little bit too safe with that part.
Maybe, but I kind of felt like she was more warming up to him.
Okay, to me it felt like they were now a thing, but I could be reading too much into that. But yeah, I definitely dug their 2 interactions. They were definitely if I had to pick my favorite 2 characters, it was definitely those 2. Who's your favorite character?
Well, I said I like the trio of Entrapta, Scorpia, and Catra. I really.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Out of the good people, Mermessa and Seahawk. Out of the villains, what was the Scorpion girl's name?
Scorpia.
She is. Yeah, for some reason I wanted to say Scorpion just that by itself, but Scorpia.
No, Scorpia.
I freaking love Scorpia. I like contrasting characters.
Yeah.
I love that she is built like a tank. She's basically Zarya. Which, by the way, if Overwatch can somehow get a Scorpia skin in for Zarya, that'd be great. Just saying. But I love that she is basically just this giant tank, and she's got big pincher claws. She doesn't even have hands.
No, and she even has a scorpion tail.
Which I keep saying every single character in here has one thing that I would tweak about their design. Wish the tail was a little bit bigger. Because she's huge, her claws are huge. Tail is very thin. So if they decide to have the tail be I don't know, how in Dragon Ball the Saiyans use their tails as a belt where it goes around their waist, it looks like that size where she could wrap it around her. If they wanted to do that as part of her character design, I think it'd be really cool. But because it was always constantly out, I was it's just weird to me that everything about you is big except for that. It's just kind of weird to me about that. But I did her character, yeah, she is huge. She's covered in spikes. She's part scorpion. But she is the most positive, super friendly, she wants to basically just be Catra's friend so bad.
She actually reminds me a little bit of Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
Oh my god! I didn't think about that, but I love that comparison. She's totally Kronk. Oh my god. Okay, for anybody out there who might possibly be working on the show, who somehow stumbled upon this, Season 2, you get to meet her dad, played by Patrick Warburton. Just throwing it out there. It's gotta freaking happen now.
Although I am very curious about Scorpia's background because she is supposed to be a princess.
Man, that reveal too.
Yeah.
That reveal was so good. That reveal absolutely... Sorry, I'm getting too passionate. Sorry, I really do dig the character. I have nitpicks about, a little bit of the designs, a little bit of the animation, little nitpicks, a little bit of the story I even have a little bit of nitpicks with. But, man, these characters are good. Sorry, so I get passionate about. As you were saying, go on.
It's I'm wondering, how they're gonna build up on that, and, why exactly did her parents get exiled from the other princesses and stuff?
I really dig the, little bit of explanation that we got in this, which is that she said that, the other princesses never really warmed up to us.
Yeah.
Never,
I so like literally the villains are all just basically outcasts. So.
Not all.
The 3, the main 3.
Yeah, the main 3 are outcast. Because the people they're working for are pure fascist. But, yeah, I really dug that because it also provides, some depth to the princesses because it's kind of turned a big mirror to them. It's yeah, you preach everybody coming together and all that stuff. What about my family? You weren't really okay with our family. We never fit into your whole scheme there. And I love that, and I do want to see that get explored more. And there is a moment in which she is, squaring off with Glimmer at the end, and I'm kind of bummed that, we didn't get any, interactions there of her, bringing up anything like that.
Yeah.
Again, there are minor bits to the story that, not really nitpicks, but things I would have liked to have seen or liked for them to have, held off on a little bit for, Season 2. But yeah, I really dig the characters, and Scorpia is so freaking good. She actually probably is my favorite character. Okay, from the good guys, who was probably your favorite?
Probably Glimmer, because I can relate to her the most. Like, I've also had issues with my family, too, my parents, so that's something I can relate to.
Okay. Yeah, I really, man, Glimmer, like I said, the interactions she gets with her mom there at the end are so freaking good. They are great. So yeah, anything else to talk about in this show? It's 13 episodes that we're having to summarize here, so, and a lot of characters that they threw at you. Anything else?
I don't think so.
I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, there it is, our thoughts on She-Ra. Like I said, it is very much not for me. It is a show made for little girls, but I can look at this and see how this is a great thing for little girls out there. And even just as someone who just likes to watch cartoons, even as an adult, I still enjoyed it. I still really like a lot of the characters in here. I will be coming back for season 2, even if it wasn't probably my job. I will say I like Voltron way more. Just, hey man, it's an 80s like revival cartoon on Netflix by DreamWorks. You kind of do have to, at some point, compare them. I do like Voltron more. However, again, Voltron is aimed at me. Not just specifically at me. Voltron is aimed at, like, me, that person, you, them over there, you way in the background,
yeah,
you get a Voltron.
It's obvious that She-Ra has a more specific...
She-Ra's like, this is for them. I was like, great.
And that's good, because they need more cartoons.
They need more cartoons. That's the thing. So many people out there, they have this idea that if you say, well, this is meant for this audience out there, they think that it means, oh, so I don't get to have anything? It's like, no. Everybody gets to have a thing. So that means that some things will not be specifically aimed at you. But if you enjoy it, great. If you don't enjoy it, hey man, you're allowed to have critiques of it as well. But at the same time, remind yourself, it's just maybe not for you. And if it is aimed at you and you don't like it, that's totally fine as well. And express your opinions on that as well. Anyway, before I get off on another long tangent there, because that is not what this show is about. It's about positivity. I'm just going to say, good. Way to go, everybody at Team She-Ra. You did a really good job over there. And also, DreamWorks, could you buy up a couple of these other cartoons? Because you're doing a damn good job of them. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. Like I said, we have to do apartment maintenance this entire week until this fucking thing is resolved with us. So I don't know when our reviews of Creed or Wreck-It Ralph or any of the other movies are going to be up this week. We will be doing a post-Geekout retrospective of the first Creed. Did we do one for Wreck-It Ralph? Did we review Wreck-It Ralph?
I remember we saw it, but I don't remember if it was like...
I think it might have been for that show that we did before this one.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so we'll do a retrospective
for that one as well. So, okay, so even if we can't go and see the movies, we'll try and put out content for you guys. But thank you guys very much for tuning in. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.